I'm really interested to talk to you about the sustainability agenda. I know we spoke a little bit about this morning. Declan mentioned several regulations and initiatives in the department. There is so much going on in this space that I could be here for the day. How are you raising your hand? How are you changing your thought process around sustainability? See, it's not just about corporate reporting directives. It's not just about cea.gov.ie. It's about everyone in the room and our own habits and how we think about sustainability. Sustainability is complicated, okay? It's emotive. So when you think about sustainability, invariably you think about floods in Cork, you think about tornadoes in the US, you think about kind of events that are kind of weather events. You don't really think so much about supply chain, geopolitical unrest, financial impact. But actually the world of sustainability and how we think about sustainability is intrinsically linked with all of that, because every time one of these events occurs, people don't get to go to work, the infrastructure gets broken down, the economy gets disrupted. There are all kinds of changes that are really, really relevant. So, it is quite complicated, it's very emotive. So that money does need to come from both the corporate and the government sectors. There's no question on that. For us to reach that, that is a huge, huge number. Equally, we talk about climate scenarios, everyone talks about the 1.5 scenario. I can tell you quite assuredly from a scientific perspective, for the last 16 months, we have surpassed the global warming of 1.5%. So that is unheard of phenomena that maybe 5 years ago we wouldn't even thought would be the case. So we really, really have crossed a threshold, what I would say of no return, huge challenge. And I think, there are still people who will talk to the 1.5, but I think realistically we're not going there. So the world is moving terribly fast, and it is up to all of us to think about how do we arrest that pace of change and how do we get ahead of it. But how do you tell your value story, your value creation story, and not greenwash? So it's a real fine line. It does invite conversation. It does invite innovation. And in Ireland, we are famous for innovation. We're famous for thinking outside the box. That's why we have so many pharmas and tech companies sitting here in Ireland, because we do it, and we've been doing it forever. It's part of our DNA. If we were to integrate sustainability thinking in the similar fashion, we'd be pretty much ahead of the posse in my own view. So I think it's really important for the boards and directors to be thinking like that. That is why it's exciting, because actually if you have the right mix of people, you will get a solution that is enduring and resilient. If you have one half of the house leading it and the other house being locked outside, I can assure you you'll miss something. And that's something just to keep an eye on. It's a really interesting dynamic, because you find that people discover what their organisation does through the sustainability agenda, because heretofore maybe they only had a role in a particular department or a particular area. So sustainability brings the board together and brings the organisations together. I'm talking about governance over sustainability, not governance over the body corporate. So the two have to come together and be integrated in a fashion that makes sense for the organisation. So it's just that evolution. Now the governance piece does talk about business ethics, business conduct, payment terms, all the things that would give you all the comfort in the room, because that's the kind of things we talk about. But it also asks who's in charge, who's thinking about the sustainability agenda, and what's the governance structure around that, and people will be disclosing that. So it's quite interesting. So it is quite different. So I think it's good news, but it's news that's challenging for everyone in this room and everyone in corporate Ireland, because frankly, it's telling a story for the first time, it's refining it, and it's making sure that it's robust enough to stand up to verification. It's making sure that it's true to what you actually do, and it's making sure that it takes in the stakeholders' view across the whole organisation. But that is the reality. Like, if you don't have a contract in place with your suppliers or understand how it works, now is the time people should be thinking about that. And it's also an opportunity to think about how we think from an enforcement perspective, what would we be looking for? How do we articulate that? So that's what I want you to think about as you walk away, not just compliance and exercise, but actually how do we think about in each of our roles, putting that question out there, what are you doing in sustainability? How is it creating value? And not just, are you ticking off the CSRD? Thank you very much.